recorded regardless. Uh, I guess the biggest topic for this AMA is going to be Froyo. Honestly, it was supposed to be just the yield optimization protocol because we didn't have access to Yield Wolf due to the low TVL. But again, as you guys know, you've been following everything. We started coming up with all sorts of ideas and stuff. It's now a deflationary yield optimization protocol. Um, the gist of it is every time harvest is called, whether it's on deposit or every 2 hours from the script, um, there's a 6% charge or fee. I think Yield Wolf is like 4.5%, B fee is like something like that. It's a little bit more, but uh, it's because of what it does pretty much. So 3% of that is a buyback and burn on the native token for that protocol. The other 3% comes back to us. 1% of it goes towards the gas fees for maintaining the 2 hour, maybe even smaller periods of uh, harvest that we have. So about 2% is for our treasury. It's not much, but Uh, the main purpose of the project is to get exposure for our little ecosystem, as well as kind of build stronger partnerships and also offer a service to other projects. Uh, the service again is the deflationary aspect of the vaults. I'm sure you guys seen little like weird transactions going on with all the tokens. I was just testing out the contracts and stuff, but like those little buys, it's me depositing into the vault, waiting 2 minutes until it gets a very small portion of rewards, and then having it harvest to make sure that it is doing the buyback and then burning it, which it is. So there's no issues there. The only thing that's left with the vaults is so it's kind of a weird issue. Honestly, it shouldn't take me long, but it's for some reason it's not getting the correct price for cream and C share. So the TVL as well as the value of what you deposited, it's incorrect. That's the only issue left. Grape vaults are live. Sunday Finance vaults are live or working. Once they sort out the issue with the cream price, the contracts are already live. So technically the vaults are live. It's kind of like a front end UI thing. So not that big of an issue. But again, when we do release it, it has to not have issues, especially because we're partnered with Piggy Finance now as well as Grape Finance. So on launch, we're going to have Piggy Finance Vault as well as Grape Finance, and then they're also going to help in the way that they're going to kind of direct their investors to use our protocols as opposed to Yield Wolf. Um, Simply because even if they are already pegged, it's helping keep buy pressure on the peg token as well as remove tokens from the total supply. Um, it's a little bit similar to, I guess, to what 2 was doing is they had a DEX. So when you brought your liquidity over, there was fees, and then the fees were, in the native token of that project. They were burning the tokens and removing it from the total circulate. They're removing it from the circulating supply as well as the total supply. Ours is it's burning in the same manner, but the overall idea and concept is a little bit different because uh, they're yield optimization vaults with strategies that we kind of customize and deploy specific to the protocol. Right now, it's kind of running a universal deflationary strategy, but you know we are kind of brainstorming ideas, coming up with different ways that we can apply the deflationary mechanisms as well as have more efficient strategies, specifically targeting seigniorage protocols. So that's the kind of bonus of that. Um, yes. What was I saying? Yeah. So Froyo is pretty much complete. And right off the bat, we're launching with, you know, Grape is probably the biggest. They are the biggest Tomb Fork on AVAX, and then Piggy Finance is right behind them. So it's those are two very strong partnerships we have right off the bat. Um, and it didn't take too much negotiating either because they understand how helpful it's going to be towards their protocol. Like right now we have ice cream finance on Yield Wolf. They're getting around 4% or 4.5% worth of fees, and there's no benefit to us. Like there are investors that use auto compounders, so I guess the only thing that we're getting out of that is we're giving our investors a place to kind of auto compound, uh, but it's not really helping the project in any sort of way. Um, so that's why we're kind of moving away from Yield Wolf. We're not going to use Yield Wolf at all. All of our vaults, all of our liquidity that's auto compounding, it's all going to be on Froyo. So besides the deflationary mechanisms, it's also going to be building liquidity, because it is selling the share token and then purchasing the peg token and the native token, pairing it together to increase your initial position. So liquidity size will gradually start to grow, and then the price impact of the buybacks is also should help the price move upwards. Especially something with like ICF doesn't have too much volume, so there's not too many sales, not too many buys. So now all of a sudden, if you start introducing constant buys every 2 hours, it's going to have a big price impact on, where like the upward movement of the token price. It's not going to be an immediate peg, but over a period of time, it's going to slowly the price is going to slowly start going up and up and up and up, and then obviously new investors or old people start seeing that, they start buying buying the token themselves, and then just overall the activity of the protocol is going to start to increase. um, and then the 2% fees we do generate for the DAO, I'm not sure if it's going to be anything like, as of right now, we don't know how much that could be. Obviously, if it's a significant amount, we're going to use that towards buybacks and stuff like that. Uh, and then for future plans for Froyo, depending on how big the protocol gets, obviously, if there's a good chunk of TVL inside of there, um, new projects that do want deflationary vaults, we're gonna have the 3% burn fee plus the 3% like maintenance and DAO fee. But then we're also going to request that they do deposit an amount of share tokens to us that we're going to redistribute to you guys, the investors, on either ICF or Sunday Finance. So you would deposit your LP, probably be a pool where you lock it in for a period of time, and then over that period of time, you're going to earn these other projects share tokens or whatever tokens they kind of provided prior to getting their vaults launched. So that's something in the future that we kind of want to do, but depending on how big the TVL gets, obviously, if it's very successful, we're really big, people are going to come to us to get vaults, and obviously, uh, for them to come to us, for us to consider their proposal, they've got to kind of, let's call it a bribe, and then the bribe goes back to our investors in the form of like new pools with different tokens and stuff. Um, that's kind of a future thing. Could be a week from now. It could be a couple days. Just depends on how big the protocol gets. Um, I think that kind of sums up Froyo. Uh, you guys have been kind of following everything. Little
Mhm.
we've been leaking information. Letting you guys know in the chat what's going on, updates, all that kind of stuff. Uh, the partnerships, especially with Grape, it's beyond Froyo though, because so we didn't announce it. We're not going to announce it right away, but we did partner with what is it, a Titano fork called Liquid Capital. They're going to be launching very soon. So this Titano fork specifically is created by some of the members of the Grape team. And then the purpose of this Titano fork is they kind of want to create an ecosystem of, all kinds of projects that have trustworthy teams and stuff like that. So we did partner up with Liquid Capital, and then that partnership also kind of exposes us to other projects that are partnered with them, as well as you know the different connections they have to social media influencers, uh, development help. uh, all that kind of stuff. So Liquid Capital itself, the project, is also partnered with Titano. So it's a Titano fork partnered with Titano. I don't know if you guys know what Titano is. There's a lot of forks coming out uh, that are trying to copy Titano or make a better version of Titano, but it's a rebasing token, kind of like SafeMoon. Uh, it in the last 6 months, it did really, really well. It built a lot of wealth for a lot of people. It's still doing really well. Um, they're building a DEX on the Binance Smart Chain, a bunch of different things, and then all these things kind of carry over to Liquid Capital, their partner, and then that whatever stuff, whatever is going on with Liquid Capital if it's going to help us, it's also going to carry over to us. So that's what that partnership kind of enables. But they do have a lot of connections to a lot of like influencers and all kinds of stuff, and it's going to be super helpful. It's going to be like next month is it's going to be a bunch of stuff happening. Uh,
We're
Great.
becoming more active in the different DeFi scenes, just in terms of like talking to different developers and see if we get more partnerships going for the exposure. Um, One thing we started doing is reaching out to young NFT groups and asking them if they were interested in partnership partnering with us through giveaways essentially. And I think that would be good exposure on their ends, and it would be a free giveaway for us. So maybe their communities and groups can hear about us, and we could hear about them, and our numbers will grow in that way as well.
Yeah, it's just going to be a huge accumulation of little things that we're doing. Like on what was it, Trader Joe, our token logos are there now. Still waiting on the snow tray stands for us. Uh, but our token logos and social media links and all that should be on there as well. Uh, I got a follow with AnySwap or multichain.org. We did apply to get our token listed on their router. So we're going to be cross chain. So Cream or Fudge will we will anybody will be able to use that token on either the Binance Smart Chain or the Phantom, and the token value is equivalent. So it's kind of hard to explain it because I'm not too familiar with the concept myself. Uh, but the gist of it is our tokens will be accessible on those networks as well. So again, more partnerships and stuff like that. Like we can have cream pools on the Binance Smart Chain in a different, Tomb Fork or whatever project, uh, and then people we're gonna benefit from the buy pressure, but we're not gonna get hurt by any sell pressure. That's what we gain from that. I did kind of mention it in the last AMA as well. Again, these are all little things, but in the long term, it's all gonna start to accumulate, and then everything's gonna start to make sense when we start actually implementing what we're gonna do with these little things. Uh,
In other news for Froyo, Momo created a ticket a ticket thread for us. So essentially, now if you're a developer from another Tomb Fork or somebody who wants to get listed on Froyo, you could open up a ticket. It'll open a private channel or a private thread, communicate with us, and give you the form of information that's needed. We request that people please do not abuse this thread, or else I don't know, you'll be placed on timeout or something.
Yeah, basically,
Um,
what he's saying is we made just a method of creating a ticket in which you get direct contact with us in private, and we have also like a little form afterwards that you would be able to fill out, and that way we could have your project listed on Froyo. And it's basically right now the ticket thread thing is made for developers or team members of protocols and stuff. We don't want anyone to be using it if that's not the purpose they're using it for. But we want to also incorporate that same system. Like I'll make it a little later, but for like the help thread, because I know like people might have questions or need help and stuff, and sometimes when the chat's moving along and stuff, we might miss it or we might not see it to begin with. And this way, we'll let users also make tickets in which we can help them in private and stuff with their issues. So that's another thing we're going to be adding. Also for the Froyo section in our Discord, I updated the Git books to incorporate a lot more information on the vaults. And I know I was just saying earlier that I know that our Git books are very they need to be updated. They're not very up to date right now. So what we're going to be doing this coming week is to slowly going through everything and updating it in detail and providing a lot more information about the stuff that we have already incorporated or are going to incorporate in the future, and updating the roadmaps and stuff. But also right now we have 2 different Git books for Sundae Finance and IceCream Finance. But essentially what we're going to do is we're just going to have one, and we're going to incorporate both protocols. So we don't want to, like, that's why we have one Discord, one Twitter and stuff. We want to keep them together, like one ecosystem. We don't want to make it separate, because that also, like, maybe some investors know what Sundae Finance is and not IceCream, or vice versa. But we want to make it accessible to everyone. That way we get like maximum exposure, and they can also work together in the future.
All right. Yeah, it's like having weekly MAs. It kind of not too much to talk about because it's like, a week goes by so quickly. But this one, again, like the last one was Froyo. This one's Froyo. The next one won't be Froyo because Froyo will already be live. Um, Next one will most likely be regarding the lottery system. That one's just going to be a deflationary mechanism. It's not actually going to do buybacks, but again, the more deflationary we can get, the better it's going to be overall. But that one, we'll talk about a little bit more about that in the future when we actually start kind of working on it and have things to show you guys. Or uh, the actual concept of it is going to be super interactive. Uh, it's not going to be like any of the raffles other Tomb folks have done. Raffles are easy to do. Like we could easily add that in a couple hours, but it, it it's just super basic. Like I don't think it's a crazy feature to hype people up about, or for other people to get like. Yeah, so we're not gonna do a raffle. We're gonna do a super kind of like I don't know if you guys are familiar with Pancake Swap. They have a lottery system, and it's very interactive. You deposit cake, I believe, and then you have a set of numbers, and you can pick your numbers or randomly generate your numbers, and then rewards are distributed based on who guessed what. Uh, like if you guessed all the numbers, you're gonna get the biggest distribution of rewards. If you guess like 3 numbers in a row, so there's more winners. It's not really giving all the rewards to one person. It's distributed evenly. Sorry, not evenly, but distributed according to how well you did. Um, there will be sell pressure from that. Maybe not from everybody, but there will be sell pressure. But overall, it's the burning that's happening. About 20% of the total cream deposited or fudge deposited. That 20% after each lottery is going to start to accumulate. So it's going to start adding up and adding up and adding up. So even with the sell pressure, you're burning so many tokens that with the little buy, like the token becomes rare in a sense because the total amount that's out there for people to like circulating for people to farm with or buy or whatever is much less. So you're fighting for like trying to think of the easiest way to kind of put this in perspective.
Just here, I got one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Give like the example of when a Tomb Fork just launches, right? They have one of their token in circulating supply, and that's why the APRs are always crazy high, or that's why the price is always crazy high. Think of it in that sense. Like the more that we decrease or our total supply from burning tokens, essentially it leads to a higher price in the future just because there's more demand because the supply is lower. Just basically supply and demand.
Yeah, especially being under peg, you're not printing that token. Like that token is just the numbers is going to keep going down and down and down. Eventually, you're going to peg because of that. Obviously, when you do peg, then you start printing it, but now you have a mechanism that when you do go under peg, it's going to reduce the total supply to get you back up to peg. In a sense, that is what bonds do, but bonds don't actually remove it from the total supply. Bonds are you're depositing your tokens, you're getting bond tokens, and then once you're over peg, those bond tokens are you get some sort of ROI depending on how high over peg you go. Uh, that's not like you could go over peg and then people claim their rewards, and then they just sell and dump it back under. It's like you're not actually removing those tokens from circulation. You're kind of incentivizing people to get another token and hold it in the meantime. Uh, which in a sense, those tokens are out of circulation, but they're not actually removed from the total supply. Like they're still there, but being held until over peg. Like, it's not the same concept. That's why I don't really like bonds. I don't like how they work. I don't think it's the solution for uh protocols that are pegged. Um like it is somewhat of a solution, but it's not like a permanent fix. It's not the most effective. There are protocols that have gone under peg for months and months and months. And maybe not that long, but a couple months. Took them 1 month to get back over peg. So you're stuck holding that token for a whole month, not earning anything when you could have held uh, an LP pair or something like that. You were farming, you would have been earning rewards. And like from an investor perspective, you always want to keep your money working. Uh, if your money's not working, it's like you have kind of you're holding dead weight or something like that, waiting for it to either appreciate in value or do something or bring in money as an investor. That's the way I like to think about it. If I buy something or if I transfer my tokens into something and that something is not earning me some kind of profit very soon, like crypto moves very quickly. Like one day, I like to, it's like a week or a month. It moves very quickly. Like I don't want to hold one token or something for a whole month. Uh, you always want your asset or whatever earning money for you. So the bonds kind of lock you up. Like you could be under peg for a while, but you could still be earning money. Um, which keeps you in the protocol as opposed to you waiting a month holding these bonds, getting upset, and then once the protocol does go over peg, you're most likely going to sell your bonds, go somewhere else where you're not going to be stuck with some form of asset that's not earning you rewards or anything like that. That's uh, yeah, so that's why I'm not a big fan of bonds. I don't think it's the solution to these kind of protocols.
I think one benefit in the bonds is, well, one thing that people get confused by is they think that it's a deflationary system, but it's not deflationary. It removes it from the general supply, but it's still the total supply. So it more just limits inflation. That would be the benefit that it has for the protocol. It limits the inflation by a small amount. I believe 35% is available in bonds, but this is actually deflationary, which is decreasing the total supply.
I think you should also mention your medium that you made.
Oh yeah, I made a Medium article. Um, this is gonna be a more regular thing. I'll try to get 1 to 2 out a week, explaining new systems. So we will have our next article will be on nodes and then Froyo. Um, everything cover in the Medium articles, I'll probably try to make a YouTube video on as well, just so we have more information going out to people. Medium will be first, and then that could kind of operate as a script towards the YouTube videos.
I wanted
The first post was sorry.
go ahead.
First post was just an introduction. I corrected the spelling error that somebody pointed out. But going into future posts, there'll be more. I guess it could be categorized by either thoughts of a team member and like potential ways that directions that we want to travel in, and I think that could really be used as a prompt towards discussion inside of our chat. They're all titled as well, so if anybody has any questions for them inside of the chat, it's very easy to just say which one you're referencing. Or they're going to be exploring new developments and explaining how new mechanisms work.
All right, I just wanted to also mention that like this AMA was very last minute. As of right now, like we don't have a specific schedule in which we are doing AMAs because everyone's availability is a little different, even our team and investors. So it's not always the easiest to coordinate. But I think for future AMAs, we most likely will try to do them at an earlier time just so more people are available because I know this one was kind of late. And also probably try to announce it a lot earlier just so there's more exposure and more people know about it and can join. But also we've been recording the audio for the AMAs and uploading them to YouTube. So after we finish this one, I'm going to do that right away. So it'll be available by the end of the day. So that way anyone that missed this AMA can listen in on their own time.
Yeah, if you guys got questions, we're good to take them now. It's not gonna be too long, especially with so many like frequent AMAs that we have. A lot of questions already answered. It's got that last issue on Froyo, and then honestly, we can go live today. Depends on how long it takes me to figure it out. Been stuck on it for the last couple hours. Like, is not really anybody to ask for help. Just gotta keep trying until I figure it out.
So
Uh,
someone was asking, is there a grape partnership? Saw some word of it, but nothing on the grape side.
yeah, so we are partners with Grape. Once Froyo goes live, they'll announce Froyo. Uh, the so it's so Froyo is partnered with Grape, but ICF and Sunday Finance as a whole, we're partnered with Liquid Capital, which is Grape as well, but they're Titano fork. So Grape falls under Liquid Capital. It's like a thing of Liquid Capital as like kind of their parent company or whatever. Like they're building that, and then Liquid Capital is going to build their ecosystem of other projects. So you're not. It's a Froyo is a vault, so it's an auto compounder. So uh, Grape investors will be depositing in our vaults with their LPs, and their LPs will be growing because of the auto compounder, and they're going to benefit from the buyback and burn that happens every 2 hours when the harvest happens.
Yeah,
So it's going to put buy pressure on their token even when there's no buy pressure. Going to keep it. So they're going to benefit off people using auto compounders, not necessarily the developers, but the protocol as a whole. So it's going to be helping the protocol, which is most important because a healthy protocol is what's going to, keep people around and attract people. But Froyo I know there was some confusion. It's not a tomb fork. It's nothing like that. It's a yield optimization protocol. Yeah, Grape will be using Froyo right off launch. So that's the partnership that we have. They're getting vaults. So right off the bat, they're getting Grape Mim, Wine Mim, and yeah, exactly. Great. Froyo is a part of our ecosystem. It's a first deflationary mechanism that we're offering as a service as well. So it's going to generate some revenue, but also give us a lot of exposure to a lot of big projects and maybe investors that never knew about us. Um, yeah, so they're Grape and Piggy Finance are actually the two projects that we're going to be launching right away with. Um, The Grape's gonna have right off the bat. So right now we have two vaults for them, which is Grape Mim and then Wine Mim. And then probably later on in the week, I just have to see what they want to do, but we might be able to add the grape wine as well as single stake grape, four different vaults. They're also going to be moving to a different DEX swapsicle when it comes out. So they're probably gonna have 8 vaults 4 per DEX. As for Piggy Finance, they're gonna have 3 vaults, single stake, uh, peg token with the native token, and then share token, native token. They do have a good chunk of TVL, and I'm sure their good chunk of that is also locked into Yield Wolf. So a lot of these people using Yield Wolf are going to transition over to Froyo, increasing the overall TVL. Uh, and that's a lot of exposure we're going to get to outside investors. Right at the top of Froyo on the nav bar, you see SF and ICF, which is direct links to our projects. And then the general theme also follows our current website. Uh, like it's really good free marketing as well as really good deflationary mechanism, as well as I'm not too sure about how well it's going to be for generating revenue. Uh, I'm just not familiar with how much yield optimization protocols make and how much the fees are actually worth. Uh, but we're going to be generating fees in AVAX, and those fees will be sent to the DAO. And then I guess after a month, we'll do little check-in and let you guys know, and you know, do some kind of, I don't know, share pool or whatever from there. Uh, but yeah, so that's why it's taking us so long. It's supposed to be just a yield optimization protocol for ICF and Sunday, and now it's a service, a deflationary service we're offering to everybody, and eventually cross-chain as well. Uh, but yeah.
Reese was asking if there's a way to upgrade multiple nodes into higher level nodes.
Yeah, so the nodes have a compound in the contract. It's just not linked up to the front end. Right after Froyo, I can definitely get that sorted out. But pretty much you can compound your smaller nodes up into the bigger nodes, and then you're qualifying for the higher APR. It's already there. The logic is there. I just have to make it work with the front end. So I'll look into that right after Froyo. It shouldn't take too long at all. And then also the Super Zap, which is pretty much done. I just haven't, again, linked it up to the front end. That'll probably come out right after Froyo as well. So these are little things that kind of been working on the side that I haven't really had time recently to work on. But so right after Froyo, 2 little things, and then directly after those little things is, you know, progress updates on the lottery system and all that. Will probably be into the next month. So a new roadmap, and then a presentation style AMA. So the next AMA will be presentation style, where we present our goals, and we're also going to reflect on April about what we did, and how we could have done things better if there were things to do better, and just kind of use that as a basis to work on for the next month as well. So yeah.
Another question was, did Grape Finance help us make our nodes?
Great Finance did not help us at all. Great Finance, so their node style is created from EMP money. So EMP money is the ones that initially did the nodes, and then Grape Finance did the nodes as well. I know Code 7 did the nodes, and then we also did the nodes. Like it wasn't anything really, like it didn't take too long to do, so I just said why not. Um, yeah, for sure. So the relationship with Grape Finance is actually very, very new. Uh, but again, like it's strong enough that they're willing to use Froyo as their primary yield optimization protocol, which is a very big thing. The size of their project compared to us, it's a big difference. Um, we're not as big as we used to be, but again, we're working upwards. We're TVL slowly starting to increase again. Overall activity starting to increase, and we're gonna work our way back up. But Froyo is gonna play a big part in that, which I didn't expect initially because the goal wasn't to make it what it's going to be now. but I'm happy it did go this direction because it's going to be helpful for everybody pretty much. It's not just helping us, but it's helping anybody else that gets a vault, and then we offer them the service of being deflationary. Probably, yeah, even little projects as well. Anybody under peg will 100% benefit from it.
If
Uh,
anybody's interested in knowing, Grapes, TVL, and Yield Wolf combined across their pools is 251,000. And Piggy's is 84,000. Ours is 87,000. Another big one that we want to try to reach out to is Frozen Tomb as well. Frozen Tomb and Snow Tomb. Frozen Tomb has 151,000 TVL. So those combined for 573,000. And earning a bit for the protocol off that would obviously be a pretty significant amount if it's recompounding consistently.
yes. Okay. So
We think because of its deflationary mechanism, Froyo could be really, really big. And we aim to hopefully start off with AVAX and market it towards all of our AVAX
yeah,
friends on Tomb Forks and see if we could become the yield optimizer for AVAX. Afterwards, cross chain could be an option too.
yeah, cross chain. Like yeah, definitely is an option. I don't know if I want to go to Phantom though. Phantom may not be the first cross chain network that we go to. There's much better networks out there,
There's
but
one network the team's been talking about in particular that we find really enticing, but we'll let you guys know about that when the time's right.
yeah. As for the reducing sell pressure on the share token, uh, yeah. So the thing about the vaults, they have so the strategy is a separate contract, and that contract can be upgraded. So we can implement a strategy. Example would be if we're over peg, then the buyback and sell doesn't happen. So the overall fee that the protocol takes is much less. Uh, I don't know, just we could there's definitely ways to kind of uh take off the sell pressure on the share token, but I honestly I don't think it's too much. Like I don't think it's a lot of sell pressure that happens because generally the share token always has the highest APR simply because there's less TVL inside of it, but it's also share token and the native token pegged together, producing the share token. So those vaults always have the highest APR, and then the pools on the website always have the highest APR. Uh, and like the vaults themselves are selling once every 2 hours. So if depending on the size of those cells, uh, obviously a big project that has big cells will probably have a lot of volume. So there's already enough buy and sells within that 2 hours that one specific cell shouldn't throw off kind of the balance or equilibrium. Like I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue, but if there is an issue, the strategy can be upgraded, and we can just modify the strategy and deploy a new strategy contract, and then link it up to the vault. And then fix the problem in whatever way we think is reasonable. All right. Well, if there's any questions, guys, don't hesitate. If not, we'll probably cut this one a little bit shorter. Um, I really want to finish up the website today. Uh, all right.
I guess that's
I,
it for today.
yeah, I think that's good. We'll definitely have the other AMA a little bit closer to this one, simply because there will probably be a lot of questions regarding Froyo, like once it's obviously live. So the other one will be a little bit closer. to this one, so maybe less than a week, or just about 1 week instead of a week, a couple days that this one was. Um, yeah, but I think we're good here. We always answer questions in the chat anyways, so it's not like you guys are left with your questions for a whole week. Um,
Okay, thank you
Alright.
everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, appreciate the small crowd today, but still a crowd.
Have a happy
All right,
Monday.
take care, guys.